Everyone, Cream Ray from One Soccer Nation. We're here with Mr. Jay DeMerit. That's right. Am I saying that? Okay, great. Jay, please introduce yourself to our viewers. And we have a legend with us, so very appreciative of you taking the time for joining me.
No problem. It's always nice to be here. With all these soccer people. That's why we love this game, and the game has taken care of me. As someone that had to really fight for my career and really take a chance on myself. It's always nice to be in these places and fool around soccer people that really understand my story and kind of what I went through. Walking over to England as a professional, non-professional, undrafted in the MLS, playing in the 9th division over in the UK for $40 a game, and then I kept working and kept improving, and by the end of my second year in England, I was basically scored the goal that got Watford promoted to the Premier League, and so it's amazing what you can do, when you have that self-belief and when you do take a chance on yourself. And so I'm very much of that mindset. I'm very much of that kind of player, and so it's just nice to always be back here talking to young players and sharing my experiences.
Absolutely. Can you just, there's a lot that goes into it. Not only were you a good enough player in order to go pro, but where did you grow up? What passport did you hold, and did you also hold a UK passport?
No, Danish was my grandpa. So that's how it worked for me to go there. But at the end of the day, there's lots of places you can play. At the end of the day, for me, it was opportunity. And I had an opportunity to go live in England, but with my friend for free. And I was like, whoa, I got to do it the hard way anyway. I might as well do it in a place like England where the light at the end of the tunnel is so much bigger. And so for me, that was my mindset to go there. And then once I got there, it was, I grew up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So it was like, one of those places that it was much bigger than where I was from. I went to school in Chicago, but, going to London, seeing football for the first time over there was like mind blowing to me. Like seeing the game, seeing the 93-minute hum, like what the English culture does for this game is insane. That's why Premier League is the biggest league in the world by a mile. And so within that, I felt that for the first time, and I was like, man, I gotta stay. I gotta figure this out.
Absolutely. So you've played in the English Premier League. What other professional leagues did you play in?
Just the MLS, and so then I played internationally for the U.S. team for 4 years, and culminating in the 2010 World Cup. So I got to play kind of in 3 different places. I finished my career with the Vancouver Whitecaps, and I was the first signing as they came into the expansion in 2011. So from a leadership perspective, that for me was one of my greatest challenges. Being the first signing of a team, building a team around that, being the captain of growth was really challenging here in the MLS, but really beneficial to how I became a leader, how I can continue to hold my leadership skills now, and all of those situations I put myself in to help me every day.
You also played in the World Cup back in 2010, if I remember correctly.
That's correct. Yeah.
Please share a little bit about that experience. When I think about the World Cup, I've never been to one or played in one. Hopefully, I'll be in, watching one in 2016.
It's coming here in 3.5 years, and so, for me, it was we always talk about pressure. And you never feel more pressure on a soccer field than at the World Cup, because we always say the eyeballs are heavy, and there's a lot of eyeballs. And when the World Cup comes, and so you do feel the eyeballs. You feel that there's billions of people watching, because there is. And so with that comes a little bit of a pressure, but we always used to say, well, if you don't want the pressure, then you shouldn't be on the plane.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of the way that I looked at that World Cup. It was an incredible opportunity. We played England in our first game. I got to mark Wayne Rooney at the time, who was arguably the best player in the world at the time, because he was the Premier League Player of the Year at Man United that year. And so I played probably the best game of my life against England in that first game, playing against the best player in the world. So, those types of moments are what I remember of those types of environments. South Africa was such a unique place to play as well. The African culture was incredible. We'd have the fans doing choreographed dances when we got home, the hotel staff to our hotel, and it was a different World Cup than I think most of them. And I think we really enjoyed that experience. We got out of our group. We won our group for the first time. The famous Landon Donovan goal when he scored in the 92nd minute to beat Algeria to win our group for the first time. No other American club had ever American team had ever won the group before, and so that for us was a great moment, and for me it was awesome. And Bill Clinton came and had some beers with us in the locker room after the game, and so those types of things you can't take away. And so those are the things I think about when I think about the World Cup.
Absolutely. I won't take up too much of your time here, but you also mentioned that you raised $250,000 for a documentary, a show about your life, your experience. Can you please share a little bit about how the money was fundraised and why? Was it a documentary or was it a movie? Or?
Yeah, it was a Kickstarter project in 2011. I got approached by a couple filmmakers that were saying like, "Hey, if you make the World Cup, like it's a crazy story. Like walking to England with nothing but a backpack as a 23-year-old to then play every minute of a World Cup it's quite a rise. Hence the rise and shine."
Yep.
But at the end of the day, it was a Kickstarter campaign. So in order to fund the footage, a minute worth of FIFA footage is $50,000.
Wow.
A minute worth of Premier League footage is $40,000. And so they had to raise $200,000 to tell the story properly. And so they went to Kickstarter, and it was incredible because the soccer community came together and raised $223,000 to turn my story into a documentary film. And so for me, it's validating, but it's also like, it's super unique to think that like people are going to pay money so you can tell your story. And so that for me is what I do now. It's my purpose. I tell my story all the time to all different groups, from kids to conferences like today, and really start to share a lot of those great experiences I got to have. And they weren't always great. They weren't always easy. A lot of this stuff is built around adversity. My story is built around adversity. And so, sharing those stories here with a lot of young players and a lot of coaches, it's important. And so that's what Rise and Shine gave me. It gave me a purpose to retell stories over and over and over again. And now we have a tool so we can use that movie as a way to inspire people all over the place. And so that for me is the greatest part. I get to share all these stories, and I get to share all these moments, and again, to have that be validated by the soccer community is always something that really leads into my purpose as to why I do this and why I keep coming back, because it's not just about, this game isn't just about me, it's about all of us. And I think that's why the beautiful game is so beautiful. And we see the game give it back to us. You see, Messi winning the World Cup was the greatest gift this game could have ever had, because nobody deserves a World Cup championship more than that guy. And to see him be able to do that after his service to this game, even players that have played against him, like myself, you have so much respect for people like that, and the game takes care of you for that. And I think the game is certainly taking care of him now.
Got it. Really nice. For people to put $250,000 together to document, your story says a lot. It's huge. And just to end off here, what advice would you give to the next generation of soccer players growing up right now that want to go pro?
I think the best advice I always give to younger people is that you have to understand it's your story and your story only. The moment we start saying that this guy got this scholarship or this person got this pro, this got this contract, we start to lose our story. And our story is only uniquely yours. And so just remember that, and remember that you get the most out of your story by continuing to participate in your story. But if you don't like where your story is, change the page, change the chapter. And so I think for me, it's all about that kind of idea, is understanding that your story is uniquely yours, and do your absolute best to make the most of it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Jay, for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thanks.
Cheers.